It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you, so let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please won't you be my neighbor?
Hello, neighbor. I'm so thankful to have you as a neighbor. In fact, if I could look through the lens of that camera, I know I could see many of my neighbors in that big room on the other side of the viewing lens. Well, anyway, I had a very special experience this morning. You know, I was walking down the street, walking down the sidewalk of our village toward the home here, and I bumped into our constable, our village constable, Mr. O'Sullivan. And I just had to stop Mr. O'Sullivan because he was just looking so snappy in his uniform, and his hat was just all polished and shiny. You know, people wear different hats, and those hats say a lot about them. And Mr. O'Sullivan's hat was just so pretty. I had to stop him. So I stopped and I said, "Sergeant O'Sullivan." And he stopped me and he said, "Oh, let's not be so formal. You can call me James." I said, "Okay, James. I just had to stop you and compliment you on your hat. The bill of your hat is so shiny and buffed, and that shield is just reflective, and it just looks so nice." And he said, "You know what? The small things make the big difference, I've found. Let's be friends." And I said, "I would love to be your friend, Constable O'Sullivan. In fact, you don't have to call me Mr. Rogers." "Well, maybe you do, because I don't have a first name. You could call me Roger Rogers." And he said, "That would be fine." Gave me a smart salute and said, "Roger Rogers." That Mr. O'Sullivan, he can really be funny if he wants to. Okay, so anyway, Mr. O'Sullivan got me to thinking about two things. He got me to thinking about hats and big and small. So I would love to take you on a field trip today. What do you say you and me go to some very special places? In fact, these special places are going to revolve around hats. And that's going to give me a chance to show off my hats and try them on. Our first place, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'm going to give you a hint. The first stop on our field trip, I'm going to be wearing this kind of hat. Come follow me. Well, welcome back, neighbors. I'm glad you followed me. We're here at the farm of Mr. James, the cowboy. And I thought it would give me a good opportunity to wear my cowboy hat. And I've been so anxious to introduce you to James, and we're going to talk to James a little bit about his horse. What's your horse's name, James?
Lucy.
Lucy. This is Lucy the horse. And look, he has his saddle on and his reins, and all of these things help James ride his horse and do it really well. He's a regular cowboy, this James. So, James, tell me a little bit about what's this part right here on the horse?
The bit.
That's the bit. The bit. B-I-T. Bit. So what does the bit do?
It helps me control the horse and turn it.
And it helps you turn and show Lucy where you want Lucy to go, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that Lucy is actually a really big animal. I bet Lucy weighs about 700 or 800 or 900 pounds. Is Lucy pretty powerful?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lucy's pretty powerful and fast. Well, how does this little tiny bit move this whole big powerful animal? You know?
Yeah.
That's just fascinating to me, that this little tiny piece of metal can move this whole animal. And wherever James wants Lucy to go, he can just pull on these reins and Lucy responds and goes where James wants him to go. I think that's fascinating. What do you think, neighbors? Well, I think we're going to let James continue to work. He has to go to the fair next week and show Lucy. And so we're going to let him get busy and work, and we're going to go on to our next stop. And our next stop's going to be a surprise, but I'll give you a hint. I'm going to have to wear a different hat and maybe look like a sailor. Come with us, neighbors. Well, you can guess where we are now. And look, it got me a chance to be able to wear my new hat, my new sailor's hat. Well, you can remember when we first met this morning that I told you that I'd bumped into Constable O'Sullivan? James, he wanted me to call him. And he got me to thinking about two things: hats, which I get to wear my sailor hat, and big and small things. We just left the farm where James was riding his horse, and we talked about the small bit moving the big animal. Well, here at the marina, I wanted to show you another big and small example. Look at this boat. You can see that that is a really big boat. Lots of these boats just weigh thousands and thousands of pounds. They're very long and very powerful. And what do you think steers that big, powerful boat? Why, it's that very tiny rudder, it's called, at the end of the boat. And that is so small, but it steers that whole big boat, big and small. I think that's fascinating. Let's look at some of these boats. They're so big and shiny and beautiful. Of course, Mr. Rogers wanted to take you a little bit closer to the boats, but here at the marina, Mr. Rogers doesn't have enough money to be able to get into the gate to get close to the big boats. So we have to be out here kind of far away. But I just wanted you to see this, big and small. We have one more stop on our field trip today. It's also going to give me another opportunity to wear another one of my hats. And I'm going to let this one be a surprise. Let's go. Well, here we are at our third stop on our field trip. I told you it was going to be a surprise. Here we are at the Cincinnati Zoo. I got a chance to wear my third hat of the day, my zookeeper's hat. And in fact, I have something else I want to put on since we're here at the zoo. I'm going to take my favorite sweater off. It's a shame to take this sweater off. It's only 90 degrees out. But I'm going to put my zookeeper shirt on. I've always thought that the animals have more respect for those who are dressed properly. So, anyway, you know, we've been talking about big and small and about wearing different hats. Well, here at the zoo, I want to talk about something slightly different. Looky here, can you see in the distance, Mr. Elephant over there? Today, or this afternoon, I want to talk about taming something that's wild. You know, these elephants live in Asia, and they live in the wild. And I think it's fascinating that we as humans have the ability to take a wild creature like that is so powerful and so big, and we can tame it and train it to do things that we want to do. Isn't it amazing that we can train a wild animal to do the things we want to do, but so many times we have trouble taming ourselves? You know, I know that you, as my neighbor, I've seen you sometimes misbehave. I misbehave sometimes myself. You know, we think that it's so easy and so natural to tame a wild animal, but oftentimes we have a hard time taming ourselves, don't we? And especially what we say. We have a hard time taming our little tongue. We talked about big and small. Our tongue is a very small organ in our body, but yet it affects so much. And sometimes we have a hard time taming that, don't we? Well, I want us to work on that. And so we're going to finish our field trip. I've enjoyed showing you some sights and then spending the day with my neighbors. And let's think about big and small things. Let's think about the hats we wear, and let's think about taming our tongues. Bye-bye. We'll see you tomorrow.